In the year 1871, a German businessman named Heinrich Schliemann arrived at a small, unremarkable hill on the western coast of modern-day Turkey. Most scholars believe the place he was searching for had never existed. They said it was a myth, a legend, a story invented by ancient poets. But Schliemann ignored them, and he started digging. Several meters beneath the surface, he found something extraordinary. Stone walls, bronze artifacts, the remains of a real city. He announced to the world that he had discovered Troy, the legendary city of heroes, war, and myth. For a brief moment, the academic world stood still. But then something even stranger happened. As the excavation continued, Schliemann realized he had not found one city. He had found nine. 9 separate cities, built directly on top of one another. Layer after layer, civilization after civilization. Like pages in a history book, stretching across thousands of years. Troy 2, Troy 3, Troy 4, all the way down to Troy 1. And that raised a question that still lingers today. If every city was built on top of an older city, then what was at the very bottom? And why does each layer seem to appear so suddenly, as if entire worlds emerged from nowhere? To understand the mystery, we need to step away from Troy, because what happened there was not unique. In fact, it happens almost everywhere. Take Jerusalem. The modern city sits atop Byzantine layers. Those layers sit atop Roman foundations, which rest upon even older Jewish settlements. And beneath those, ancient Canaanite remains. The deeper archaeologists dig, the further the story goes back. The same pattern appears in Cairo, in Istanbul, in Rome. Again and again, new civilizations rise, directly on top of old ones. The official explanation makes sense. Cities are built near rivers, near trade routes, near fertile land. Once infrastructure exists, future generations naturally reuse it. It is practical, logical, efficient. But there are places where that explanation feels incomplete. Places where the pattern becomes difficult to ignore. One of those places is Teotihuacan. Located in modern Turkey, this settlement dates back roughly 9,000 years. When archaeologists uncovered it, they found a surprisingly advanced community. Thousands of people lived there. The houses were packed tightly together. There were no streets. Residents entered through openings in the roofs. The walls contained elaborate artwork. Storage systems were organized. Religious rituals were sophisticated. Everything about the site suggested complexity. But what intrigued researchers even more was what lay underneath. Evidence suggested that people had occupied the location long before the famous settlement appeared. And Teotihuacan is not alone. Consider Jericho, one of the oldest continuously inhabited places on Earth. Around 11,000 years ago, its inhabitants built a massive stone tower, more than 8 meters high, complete with an interior staircase. This required planning, coordination, organization. Yet beneath those structures, researchers discovered traces of even earlier human activity. Older fires, older stone arrangements, older stories with no written record. The deeper they dig, the further history retreats into the shadows. Now let's return to Rome, because Rome presents a fascinating problem. Ancient Roman engineers often encountered structures beneath their cities that they could not explain. Massive stone walls, enormous blocks fitted together with incredible precision. Some stones were so large that Roman builders themselves struggled to understand how they had been moved. They called this work Cyclopean masonry. According to Roman belief, only giants could have built such things. Think about that. One of the most powerful civilizations in history looked at these structures and admitted they did not know who built them. Beneath the Roman Forum, excavations continue to reveal older and older layers of occupation. Each discovery pushes the story back further. Each layer raises new questions, and some of those questions remain unanswered. But this mystery is not limited to Europe. Travel across the ocean to Mexico. There stands Teotihuacan, one of the greatest cities ever built in the ancient Americas. The Aztecs found it already abandoned, already ancient, already mysterious. Even they did not know who had built it. Beneath the Pyramid of the Sun, archaeologists discovered a modified cave, a sacred place that existed long before the pyramid itself, which means the location mattered before the monument was constructed. The builders were preserving something older, something they considered important. The same pattern appears in Egypt, at Giza, where debates continue regarding the age and history of the Sphinx. Regardless of where one stands in those debates, the larger point remains. Many of humanity's most famous sites seem to possess histories that stretch deeper than we once imagined. At this point, it is tempting to imagine a conspiracy, but that would be a mistake. Archaeologists are not hiding these discoveries. Most are dedicated researchers searching for evidence wherever it leads. The real reason is much simpler. Science moves cautiously. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So unusual findings often remain confined to academic papers, technical reports, specialized discussions. The result is that fascinating mysteries receive far less attention than dramatic discoveries. But another pattern emerges. Many of these locations remain important for thousands of years. Sacred sites become temples, temples become churches, churches become mosques, again and again. Different cultures choose the exact same locations, the same hills, the same caves, the same mountains, the same valleys. Something keeps drawing people back, and this leads us to perhaps the most difficult question of all. What exactly is being inherited? Is it knowledge, an understanding of geography and astronomy passed down through generations? Is it memory, a cultural instinct so old that nobody remembers where it began? Or is it something else entirely, something we no longer have the language to describe? Perhaps the first people chose these places for reasons that has been lost, and later civilizations continued returning to them, not because they understood why, but because the locations still felt significant, still felt important, still felt sacred. When Schliemann reached the lowest levels of Troy, he found evidence of destruction, burned remains, signs of human habitation, but very few clues about who those people were or why they settled there. The deeper modern archaeologists investigate the site, the older it becomes. Today we know the hill was occupied for thousands of years. Yet traces beneath the earliest city hint at human activity that predates even Troy I. Before the first recognized city, before the beginning of recorded history, before civilization is supposed to have started there. And Troy is not unique. It is simply one of the clearest examples. History often presents civilization as a straight line, a steady journey from simple beginnings to advanced societies. It is a comforting story, but the ground beneath our feet tells a different one. Cities reveal hidden layers, and those layers reveal older layers still. Each civilization building upon the remains of another. Each generation inheriting something from the past, something visible and something invisible. The archaeologists continue digging, the layers continue appearing, and the deepest mystery remains untouched. Why was this place chosen in the first place? Why this hill? Why this valley? Why this river? If we could somehow strip away every layer of history, every city, every monument, every foundation, would we eventually find the answer? Or would we reach the bottom and discover that the oldest mystery of all still lies waiting beneath the bedrock? That question remains unanswered.